During a Q&A with the press in Richmond, Governor Abigail Spanberger attempted to set the record straight about her stance on immigration and immigration enforcement policy. One of the topics that she addressed bluntly and directly was the Commonwealth's sanctuary status. And here's what she had to say.
Virginia is not a sanctuary state, full stop.
Then she goes on to call out misinformation, particularly with what she has and has not done with regards to 247G, which is the policy that deals with cooperation with ICE. So former Governor Glenn Youngkin has also been on the mic this week. And in a discussion with Sean Hannity on Fox News, he packaged one of the claims against Spanberger that she set out to address. Here's Youngkin.
Told people that she would work to keep Virginians safe, and then the first thing she did was prohibit collaboration with the federal government, from the state police, from our Department of Corrections, and of course from local law enforcement. We had a tremendous partnership that had arrested thousands and thousands of violent criminals who were here illegally, and she ended it all, and it's made Virginia less safe.
What Youngkin is referencing there is his executive order number 47, shown here, keeping Virginians safe from dangerous, criminal, illegal immigrants. Youngkin's executive order directed Virginia State Police to enter into an MOU creating this task force with ICE, where VSP would assist in identifying and apprehending illegal immigrants. The executive order also directed VADOC, the Virginia Department of Corrections, to enter into a Section 287G MOU with ICE. That would involve, as he described it, leveraging detention and processing facilities throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia and training corrections officers to be designated immigration officers, DIOs as he called them. It also instructed the Virginia Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, to contact the heads of basically every law enforcement agency in Virginia and request that they certify this full cooperation with ICE and cooperation with the 287G task force. Youngkin signed that executive order, as you can see here, in February 2025. So Spanberger gets elected, and she comes along in January 2026 and signs Executive Order 10, which is called Rescission of Executive Order 47. And you just heard what Youngkin said Spanberger's Executive Order 10 does, which is a claim that many people have made. And here is what Spanberger had to say addressing those claims.
When I came into office, I said, with my executive orders, that Virginia state agencies would no longer, and principally state police as the largest of the state law enforcement agencies, would no longer put their police officers, their troopers, under the supervision and direction of ICE agents. And I feel very strongly about that because Virginia State Police is a top-notch law enforcement agency. And I don't think it is responsible for us, or me as governor for the Commonwealth of Virginia, to put Virginia State Police under the supervision or direction of ICE. That is a change I made. I think it is the right one. I know it is the right one, and I stand by it.
So at this point, we have points of agreement between the two. Both Youngkin and Spanberger are on record saying Virginia is not a sanctuary state. They both agree on that. Here it is, written in Youngkin's executive order. And we just heard Spanberger say the exact same thing. They also agree on what 287G does or means. Here again, in Youngkin's executive order, here he explains that 287G agreements involve ICE delegating, training, and certifying state and local law enforcement to perform ICE functions under ICE's direction and oversight. So those 2 points, both sides agree on. Where the sides seem to disagree is whether or not Spanberger barred law enforcement from entering 287G agreements and whether she prohibits them from coordinating with ICE. And she addressed that issue.
I have seen it reported that localities can no longer cooperate under a 287G agreement. That is not correct. My predecessor said they had to. I simply said that I was not forcing them to. There are still localities where they have chosen to put their local law enforcement officers under the supervision and direction of ICE. And I use that language because that is what happens under a 287G agreement. That is their priority. That is their prerogative. Though notably, since I pulled back and said you no longer have to, I am not aware of, feel free to fact check me, and if I welcome you to inform me, but I am not aware of any new agreements between ICE and a locality where they have entered into a 287G agreement.
So to determine if what she says and what she signed is the same thing, here is Spanberger's executive order, which essentially says, I'm rescinding Youngkin's order. Federal agencies should prioritize federal matters, and state and local agencies should prioritize state and local matters. As you can see here, part of their priority should be to coordinate with federal agencies when there are criminal matters involved. And Spanberger elaborated on her stance on federal coordination. Here's what she had to say on that.
Certain things continue to be ongoing. Every month, Department of Corrections, a state agency, provides a list to DHS and ultimately ICE of every non-citizen in our state prison system. That has been going on for years. It continues to be the case. I even read in a reputable national paper that right now, per my executive orders, the state can no longer coordinate with federal agencies, which is an absolute lie. For starters, it was only the 287G agreements that I said state agencies cannot enter into. That means state agencies, principally state police, Department of Corrections, cannot put their officers under the supervision and direction of ICE. Task forces work together. All of that continues to be the case. JTTF, Joint Terrorism Task Force, HIDTA, High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Task Force. Other federal task force, absolutely, that coordination continues. Coordination with ICE also continues. If ICE comes to a state agency, principally in this case, it would be state police, and says, here's a warrant, we need your support on something. Yes, they're going to support them on that arrest warrant or on that search warrant, because that is what happens when there is state and federal partnership. The partnerships, the task forces, the coordination, that continues. We are simply not putting state officers under the auspices of the supervision and direction of ICE.
So there's that on the two executive orders, some clarity on the criticisms against Spanberger, and her attempt to set the record straight. A link to both executive orders will be in the description for anyone who wants to view them in full.